Before you reach for another box of hair dye, there is something important you should understand about gray hair after 60. Gray hair is not a personal failure. It does not mean that you have neglected yourself, and it certainly does not mean that your body is suddenly falling apart. It is a visible sign of changes taking place inside the hair follicle, and those changes are influenced by far more than age alone. For many people, genetics plays the largest role. Some families begin turning gray in their 30s, while others keep much of their natural color well into their 70s. But genetics is not the entire story. Nutrition, smoking, oxidative stress, certain medical conditions, and the health of the pigment-producing cells inside the hair follicle may also affect when and how quickly hair loses its color. Today, I want to explain what is really happening when hair turns gray, which factors may be worth investigating, and what you can realistically do to support healthier hair after 60. I also want to be honest from the beginning. There is no food, vitamin, oil, or supplement that has been proven to reliably restore age-related gray hair in everyone. You may see dramatic claims online, but the science is much more nuanced. In some situations, addressing an underlying deficiency or health condition may improve the appearance of newly growing hair. In many other cases, gray hair is permanent. Understanding that difference can save you money, protect you from unnecessary supplements, and help you make better decisions about your health. To understand gray hair, we first need to look inside the hair follicle. Your hair receives its color from a pigment called melanin. Melanin is produced by specialized cells called melanocytes. These cells are located near the base of each hair follicle, where new hair is formed. As a strand of hair grows, melanocytes supply pigment to the developing hair shaft. The type and amount of melanin determine whether your hair appears black, brown, blonde, red, or somewhere in between. As we grow older, the pigment-producing system becomes less efficient. Melanocytes may produce less pigment, and some of the stem cells responsible for replacing pigment-producing cells gradually lose their function. Eventually, a new strand of hair may grow with very little pigment or no pigment at all. When hair contains less melanin, it appears gray. When it contains almost no melanin, it appears white. Oxidative stress may also be involved in this process. Your cells naturally produce unstable molecules during normal metabolism. The body has antioxidant systems that help control these molecules, but those protective systems may become less effective with age. Hydrogen peroxide is one substance that can accumulate in tissues when antioxidant defenses are reduced. Researchers have found evidence that oxidative stress inside the hair follicle may interfere with melanin production. However, this does not mean that gray hair is caused by one molecule or that taking one nutrient will automatically reverse it. Hair graying is a complex process involving genetics, cellular aging, oxidative stress, and changes in the pigment-producing cells themselves. This is where many online explanations become misleading. They identify one biological pathway and then present one supplement as the complete solution. Human biology rarely works that way. One nutrient that is often promoted for gray hair is para-aminobenzoic acid, commonly called PABA. It is sometimes marketed as vitamin B10, although it is not considered an essential human vitamin in the same way as vitamin B12, vitamin B6, or folate. Interest in PABA and hair color goes back many decades. Some early reports suggested that certain people with premature graying experience temporary hair darkening while taking PABA, often in combination with other B vitamins. However, these reports were small, old, and not supported by the kind of large, carefully controlled clinical trials we would expect today. They do not prove that PABA can restore normal color to age-related gray hair. It is also important to understand that early graying and normal age-related graying are not necessarily the same condition. A person who begins losing hair pigment unusually early may have a correctable nutritional or medical factor. A person whose hair gradually turns gray in their 60s or 70s is more likely experiencing normal age-related changes within the follicle. That is why the first step should not be buying a supplement. The first step should be asking whether anything else has changed. Did the graying appear suddenly? Did it begin much earlier than expected based on your family history? Are you also experiencing unusual fatigue, weakness, numbness, weight changes, feeling unusually cold, changes in your skin, or increased hair shedding. Those additional symptoms may provide more useful information than the color of the hair alone. Vitamin B12 deficiency is one issue worth considering, particularly in older adults. As we age, the body may become less efficient at absorbing vitamin B12 from food. Certain medications, including some acid-reducing medicines and diabetes medications, may also affect B12 status. People who eat little or no animal food may also be at greater risk. A vitamin B12 deficiency can cause fatigue, weakness, numbness, tingling, balance problems, memory changes, anemia, and sometimes changes involving the hair or skin. Correcting a true deficiency is important for overall health. In some cases, it may also improve hair quality or pigmentation. But taking extra vitamin B12 when your levels are already adequate is unlikely to reverse ordinary gray hair. Folate is another B vitamin involved in cell division and the formation of healthy blood cells. Low folate status may contribute to anemia and other health problems, but it should not be treated as a guaranteed solution for gray hair. Copper also plays a role in melanin production because it helps support the activity of tyrosinase, an enzyme involved in pigment formation. This has led some people to assume that taking copper will darken gray hair. That assumption can be dangerous. Copper deficiency is possible, but it is not common in most people eating a varied diet. Excess copper can be toxic and may damage the liver and other organs. Copper supplements should not be taken simply because your hair is turning gray. Iron deficiency may also affect hair growth and contribute to shedding, weakness, or brittleness. However, iron should only be supplemented when a deficiency has been confirmed. Too much iron can also cause harm. The lesson is simple. Nutrients matter, but more is not always better. The right nutrient can be helpful when the body is truly deficient. The same nutrient can be useless or harmful when it is taken unnecessarily. This brings us to blackstrap molasses, a food that is often promoted online as a natural remedy for gray hair. Blackstrap molasses is the dark syrup left after sugarcane has been processed several times. It contains small amounts of minerals such as iron, calcium, magnesium, potassium, and sometimes copper, depending on the product. Because it contains several minerals, it is sometimes presented as a complete treatment for hair pigmentation. But there is no strong clinical evidence showing that 1 tablespoon of blackstrap molasses each day can reverse normal gray hair. It is still a food, and it may fit into some diets. But it also contains sugar and carbohydrates. That matters for people with diabetes, prediabetes, insulin resistance, or anyone carefully managing blood sugar. Blackstrap molasses should not be used as a replacement for medical testing, a balanced diet, or treatment for a confirmed deficiency. It is also not necessary to drink it on an empty stomach, and there is no reliable evidence that a specific temperature of water turns it into an effective gray hair treatment. When advice becomes extremely specific without strong evidence, that is often a reason to pause. You may also have heard that rosemary oil can restore gray hair. Rosemary oil has received attention because a small clinical study examined its use for androgenetic hair loss. After several months, participants using rosemary oil experienced improvements in hair count that were compared with a low-strength minoxidil solution. That research involved hair growth, not hair color. There is currently no convincing clinical evidence that rosemary oil can reactivate pigment-producing cells or turn established gray hair back to its original color. That does not mean rosemary oil has no value. A properly diluted scalp oil may make massage more comfortable, and massage can be relaxing. Some people also feel that regular scalp care improves the condition and appearance of their hair, but rosemary essential oil can irritate the skin. It should never be applied directly to the scalp without dilution. Anyone who chooses to use it should mix a small amount into a carrier oil, test it on a small area first, and stop immediately if redness, burning, itching, or swelling occurs. It should not be placed near the eyes, and it should not be used over broken or inflamed skin. People with sensitive skin, eczema, psoriasis, or other scalp conditions should speak with a qualified health professional before using essential oils. Another common claim is that permanent hair dye directly causes more gray hair. Permanent dyes often use hydrogen peroxide to help remove existing pigment and allow new color molecules to develop inside the hair shaft. Frequent coloring, bleaching, or chemical processing can make the hair shaft dry, porous, brittle, and more likely to break. Some ingredients, particularly paraphenylnedione or PPD, can also cause allergic contact dermatitis. Reactions may include itching, burning, swelling, blistering, or a rash around the scalp, face, ears, or neck. These are legitimate concerns. However, damage to the hair shaft is not the same as permanent destruction of the pigment-producing cells deep inside the follicle. Current evidence does not clearly show that routine hair dye use is a major cause of natural age-related graying. If you choose to color your hair, you do not need to feel guilty. The goal should be to reduce irritation and minimize damage. Follow the product instructions carefully. Perform the recommended patch test. Avoid coloring a scalp that is already irritated or injured. Do not leave the product on longer than directed. Space treatments as much as reasonably possible, and consider professional guidance if you have experienced previous reactions. Be especially cautious with products marketed as black henna. Some may contain PPD despite being described as natural. There is another side of this conversation that deserves attention. Hair color is often treated as a measure of youth, attractiveness, or vitality, especially for women. Many people feel pressure to hide every gray strand, even when the rest of their health is excellent. There is nothing unhealthy or unattractive about gray hair. It does not reduce your value, your energy, or your identity. At the same time, choosing to color your hair is also a personal decision. There is no moral advantage in keeping gray hair, and there is no reason to feel ashamed for covering it. The important thing is that the choice belongs to you and is not driven by fear or false promises. So what can you realistically do to support healthier hair after 60? Begin with your overall nutrition. Hair is not an essential organ. When the body is undernourished, dealing with illness, or receiving too little protein, it may direct resources away from hair growth. That is one reason hair can become thinner, weaker, or more brittle during periods of poor health. Try to include adequate protein throughout the day from foods that suit your health needs. Eggs, fish, poultry, yogurt, beans, lentils, tofu, and other protein-rich foods may all contribute. Eat a varied diet that includes vegetables, fruit, whole grains, legumes, nuts, seeds, and appropriate sources of healthy fat. A varied diet is more useful than searching for one miracle ingredient. Protect your hair from unnecessary physical damage. Avoid very tight hairstyles, excessive heat, aggressive brushing, and repeated chemical processing if your hair has become fragile. Use a gentle shampoo that does not leave your scalp irritated. Apply conditioner mainly to the lengths and ends if the hair is dry. Detangle carefully, especially when the hair is wet. Gray hair may feel coarser or drier because changes in the follicle can also affect oil production and the structure of the strand. This means the hair may benefit from more moisture even when the color itself cannot be changed. Pay attention to your scalp as well. Persistent itching, redness, scaling, sores, or sudden hair loss should not be dismissed as normal aging. These symptoms may be related to dermatitis, psoriasis, infection, autoimmune disease, medication effects, or other conditions that deserve evaluation. You should also speak with a medical professional if your hair changes suddenly or if graying is accompanied by other symptoms. Depending on your history, a clinician may consider checking your blood count, vitamin B12 level, thyroid function, iron status, or other tests. Not everyone needs all of these tests, but the decision should be based on symptoms and risk factors rather than internet trends. Be cautious with hair supplements marketed specifically to older adults. Many contain high doses of biotin. Biotin deficiency is rare, and extra biotin does not necessarily improve hair in people who are not deficient. High-dose biotin can also interfere with certain laboratory tests, including some tests related to the thyroid and heart. Always tell your doctor or laboratory staff about supplements you are taking. PABA supplements also deserve caution. They may cause nausea, skin reactions, or other side effects, and they may interact with certain medications. High doses can be harmful. Natural does not automatically mean safe. And a product sold without a prescription is not automatically appropriate for everyone. The most honest conclusion is this: gray hair after 60 is usually the result of normal biological aging combined with genetics. In some people, nutritional deficiencies, thyroid disorders, smoking, illness, or other factors may contribute, especially when graying begins early or changes suddenly. Correcting a real underlying problem is worthwhile and may improve the health of newly growing hair. But no vitamin, syrup, oil, or kitchen remedy has been proven to reliably restore natural color to age-related gray hair. That may not be the dramatic answer people hope to hear, but it is the answer that respects your health. You deserve information that helps you make decisions, not promises designed to sell hope. Take care of your nutrition. Pay attention to changes in your body. Protect your scalp and hair from unnecessary damage. Have possible deficiencies evaluated instead of guessing. And make your decisions about hair color based on what makes you feel comfortable and confident. Whether you keep your natural gray, soften it with a temporary color, or continue visiting your salon, the healthiest choice is the one made with realistic expectations and proper care. Your hair may change with age, but that does not mean you have lost control of your health or your appearance. It simply means your body is entering a different stage, one that deserves patience, understanding, and care rather than shame. If your hair began turning gray earlier than you expected, or if the change happened suddenly, consider discussing it at your next medical appointment. Sometimes the most useful answer is not found in a supplement bottle. It is found by looking at the whole person, and that is always where good health care should begin.